Hello everybody, welcome back. Today I'm going to be continuing my look at the recent Marvel Legends Secret Wars wave, and I'm turning my attention this time to Spider-Man. And once again, if we kick off by taking a look at the packaging, this will be very familiar to you by now, but of course it is a retro card. It is recreating the original Secret Wars toy line branding, and it looks absolutely spectacular, pardon the pun. It's colourful, it's dynamic, it's fun, and it looks absolutely fantastic if you decide to hang it on your wall. If we flip it and look at the reverse, we have some newly commissioned artwork there featuring Spider-Man in action pose, and we have a little bit of bio there about him as well. Of course, underneath we see the other figures available in the wave, and we have some instructions around how to flip out or swap out the holographic card in the shield. Okay, so once again we have what essentially amounts to a re-release, a variant of an existing figure, and there's not an awful lot that is new or unique to this particular version of the character. But if you've not picked this figure up previously, it's a pretty nice one. The sculpting is pretty good. We can see that the eyes are actually sculpted into the mask, which is good. We even see a little bit of tension there where the eyebrows are, which are quite nice. There's not an awful lot when it comes to paint apps, sadly, but I don't think this particular version of Spider-Man actually needs them, in all fairness. The body sculpting works really well for a slender Spider-Man. This looks pretty pitch perfect to me. I can't argue with this. And when it comes to the detailing of the spider symbol, the emblem, this has been painted on. I would rather this had been sculpted in, but sadly it hasn't been. And part of that is because obviously it kind of overlaps where the joints are, which would make it more difficult. So to be fair, I think this works perfectly well. Now, if we flip it and look at the reverse, we can see that obviously the spider legs actually cut across several joints here, including the butterfly wing joints in the shoulders. So obviously when this is condensed in certain poses, you're not going to see the full spread of the legs from behind. There's very little else when it comes to paint apps. The only other bit that I could spot was the white triangle where the web shooter is. Otherwise, the rest of the figure is just completely black plastic, no paint apps, no paint washes, nothing else at all. But the good news is that this has one of the best articulation schemes of a Marvel Legends figure. It's got the ball joint to the top of the neck there. It can look really far up and down through that hinge. Of course, it can spin its head all the way around. He's got the butterfly wing joint. He's got the ball joint in the shoulder. He's got the bicep swivel. He's got the double joint in the elbow. And he's got the pin swivel at the wrist as well. So that can rotate all the way around and hinge forwards and backwards. And of course, you can get his arm all the way back to his head there, which is fantastic. Best of all, though, he has this fantastic ball joint in the top of the torso, allowing him to move from side to side, lean left and right, and bend forwards and backwards. However, I must say that once again, just as we saw with some of the other figures in this wave, it's a little bit sticky. It kind of wants to just revert back to form, which is unusual, particularly for this kind of mold, which I've seen on several of the Spideys, which work perfectly well. He does have the ab crunch as well, though, of course, and he's got the ball joints in the hips, allowing the legs to kick out to the side, the top thigh swivel. He's also got a swivel at the top of the boot cut there as well. The leg will kick forwards. It doesn't really kick back very far, but it does have a double joint at the knee, and of course he has the ankle pivot, allowing the foot to hinge forwards and backwards and rock from side to side. In terms of accessories, he comes with an additional 2 pairs of hands, 2 flipping hands and 2 crawling, open-palmed hands. I'm never entirely convinced he needs the flipping hands with the black alien costume, since the web comes out the top of the triangle at the top of the hand, so that's a little bit odd. But he also has this fantastic alternate head, which is the first time we've seen this. This is a new sculpt with the squinting eyes, and he has his holographic shield. Now, the only thing that's new about this version of Symbiote Spider-Man is the fact that we're getting this alt. And to be fair, that does make it worthwhile for those who are going to be double dipping on this figure, because I think it's a really cool expression. It's a brand new sculpt, and I think it works quite well, especially that more angry look that we would tend to associate with the symbiote or the alien costume version. So I think that's pretty cool. Otherwise, all the other bits and pieces that we get, the flipping hands, the closed fists, this is all stuff we've seen before and is fairly typical of what you get with a Spider-Man figure. But of course, we also get the holographic shield as well, and just as with the others, when you turn it one way you have Spider-Man masked up, and then when you turn it the other way you can see the unmasked Peter Parker head, which is kind of cool. It's a bit of a novelty. It's obviously a massive throwback to the original toy line, and it's kind of fun to see it writ large here. Overall then, for me, this is a 4-star figure. Despite the fact that a lot of this figure is recycled from previous releases, I feel like they have done something new here by giving us an alternative head. The squinting, more angry expression I think works works really well. And overall, this is just a very well made figure. I really like the articulation scheme. I think the overall sculpting and the look of the figure works very well. It can look quite dynamic depending on what pose you put it in, and it makes it very displayable. It's a good figure all round. Now, I do have to note that there's not much going on in the way of paint apps, but I don't think it hurts this version of Spidey in all honesty. So the only niggle I have with this particular figure is the slight rubberiness of the chest articulation there. You have to really persevere in order to get it into different positions. It does have a tendency to want to slide back into its default position, which is a little bit frustrating. But aside from that, this is still a very nice figure, and it's an excellent second chance, or third chance, or fourth chance, maybe it's 10th chance to pick up a symbiote Spider-Man for anyone who hasn't got him first time around. And I think for those who already do, then this is probably the superior version just because you get that alternate head, which, as I said, is a little bit of a first and works particularly well.